And welcome back. With me right now is Dan Elweiler, Sterling Financial Advisors. And today, Dan, we're going to talk about something called the 4% retirement rule is dead. I mean, he sends me his topics. So first explain what the 4% rule is and why it's kind of not working anymore.
Well, this was a study done back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And back in the 80s, they took an example of a retiree, and if they just took out 4% from their investment returns or their investments, there was like a 92% chance of success that they'd never run out of money. You know, the Monte Carlo simulations. But,
yeah.
You know, but you'd have to remember that back in the 80s, the interest rates that you were getting on bonds was much different than it is today.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So, you know, everybody feels like, well, if I just take 4% out of my portfolio over the years, I should never run out of money. Well, that was certainly true when that simulation took place back in the 1980s. Ever since then, you know, interest rates have come down. I had a seminar last night and we talked about this. You know, there's a kind of a battle going on in society between those that spend money and those that save money.
Right.
Because the people that spend money want low interest rates. If I go out and get a car or buy a home, I want as low interest rates that I can. But those that are saving money, those that are retired, hey, I want 5 or 6% CDs.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
so we have a conflict between, you know, certain segments of society as to whether or not we get low interest rates or high interest rates. Over the past 8 to 10 years, the spenders have won.
Yeah,
you know, because interest rates are so low.
Yeah.
And that it does affect this Monte Carlo simulation of how much I can take out of my portfolio every year without it collapsing. Okay. They reran the same scenario here a year or two ago, that if they took the same simulation, there's only a 57% chance of you succeeding because the bond yields are so low.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of an interesting thing. It's just what you were just saying, is that on one hand, when you look back with interest rates were really high, well, consumables were probably down. People were keeping their cars longer. People were things like that. So once those came down, you know, the economy got rolling a little bit more. But then the people, like you said, who are very conservative financially, we're talking about, you know, kind of got left behind, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's
well, I remember buying my very first house. I had an 11% mortgage rate on my house.
Yeah.
You know, and that was kind of in between, because it got to the point where you were paying 12 or 14%.
Yes, I remember
You remember those days?
Yeah.
You know, and so now we're refinancing. You know, I have a 3 3/4% rate right now. So there's a big difference in consumer, like you say, consumer things, and for people that want to be conservative, to go over to the bank and try to get a 3% or 8% CD like there used to be, it's ridiculous. You know, I remember CD. I had my folks. I remember this many years ago. We had a neighbor just retire, and he got a lump sum payout, and he told my dad, "Yeah, I locked it in for 10% CDs." Yeah, you know, for 10 years.
Oh yeah, incredible.
You know? And so those days are gone. And so using the simulation of 4% based upon the 1980s, we can't do the same thing.
Yeah.
So the simulation has to run in today's dollars, not what it was back in the 80s.
And we're also at a point, I know you've talked about this, we've seen a stellar rise in the stock market over the last 10 years, 15 years, whatever it's been.
It was fun the last couple of days, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Italy's having problems, and so it affects us.
Right.
You know.
And, you know, we can't rely on that again. I mean, if that scenario held, that means in 10 years from now, the stock prices would be, you know, the market would be like at 40 or something.
Right.
So we're at a time where it's a little more, it's a bit more.
Well, the market
more
is a
difficult.
different market
Yeah.
than it was, when we were growing
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's just the market, you could count on it just kind of over time. Yeah, there's going to be corrections, but
Yeah.
over time, but you didn't see the 50% drop in the market like we did in 2008
Right.
before, In my seminar, I talk about in 1987, there was a stock market crash called Black Monday.
Yeah, sure.
The market dropped almost 25% in one day.
Yeah.
Okay. If you equated that to today's market, that would be a 5,000 point drop today.
Wow.
And
yeah.
we got nervous the other day when it dropped 1,000 points back in February.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so it was 5 times that, and so it's just not the same market that it used to be. The swings are much greater than they used to be.
So what's the answer? Somebody comes to you, and the general consensus probably in a community like this is we want to protect our money, maybe have a little bit of risk factor for some. Others saying, no, you know what, we're relying on this.
Well, it all depends on the income, okay? If you have a secure income stream that lasts you the rest of your life,
right?
If we were able to set up an income plan that's going to generate income day or night, rain or shine, that eliminates the fear of running out of money.
Right.
Okay? And so if you can set up an income plan that allows you to have enough money to last you, you don't have to take as much risk.
Yeah.
Because people are taking more risk because of the fear of running out of money.
Yes, exactly.
And so what you do is you set up an income stream, then it reduces the risk that you have to take, because whether or not you make 4% on your money or 8% really isn't going to change your lifestyle.
Yeah.
But if we lose that money, it's going to impact us tremendously.
Right. As you've said, you lose that much money, it takes you double that just to get even again.
If you lose 50% on your money, you got to get 100% in order to get back to where you were. And so is income is what pays the bills, not growth. Okay, you can take money out of your portfolio, but it's really income and consistency over time that's going to pay your bills. And so if you have a secure income stream, lifetime that's going to come in day or night, rain or shine, that means that you can take less risk because you know your bills are going to be paid.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about running out of money.
Right.
And so in situations where people are retiring, where we have limited resources, you want to set up a plan that gives you a little bit of growth to offset inflation, obviously, but protect the majority of your assets with a secure foundation and money that's not going to be whipsawed back and forth by the market.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So the 4% rule is a nice thought.
Yeah.
But it was based upon the 1980s, not the 2000s.
Yeah, things are very different.
Much different because bond yields are much lower than they are were then.
I mean, that was something that a lot of people really depended on because they were normally safer, and even there were many people who would invest in the tax advantage municipal bonds, and those pay like
a little bit.
I can't get down that small, but
they're not too much.
Yeah, but they were, for a lot of people, they were fairly safe. They had a good yield, and they had a tax advantage.
Yeah, if you could get a 4 or 5 or 6% muni bond, that you didn't pay taxes on, sign me up.
Yeah.
But you're talking 2-3% today. So it's difficult to do, but we can still do that. But you don't want to put your entire portfolio at risk if you have limited resources.
Yeah.
The difference between those that maybe have a little bit more, you could have, somebody that has $2 or $3 million and they can lose $1 million and still be okay.
Yeah.
If you have somebody that has 800,000 and they lose 400,000, they're not going to be okay.
Right.
So again, a lot of it depends upon each individual situation. And we've talked about this before. We put together what we call our retirement weather report, and we analyze people's risks they're exposed to and project out their income over the next 25, 30 years. And it kind of gives them a feel, a sense of security if they know that, hey, whether or not I end up with $800,000 or $1 million isn't nearly as critical if I end up with 400,000.
Yeah.
You know, so it really provides some peace of mind putting this report together to give them a snapshot of where they're going.
Yeah. All right. I encourage people to do that. You can get a hold of Dan and up there in Mission Viejo. SterlingFA.com is the website. 859-8900.
Correct.
949. I have
Correct.
it up there. You know.
And we just sit down.
And I think it's really, think it's really important because you sit down with them, kind of just go over things, and then go from there and see what you can.
The first meeting is very non-threatening. You know, we're just gonna kind of get to know you, find out what your hopes and dreams are, and if it makes some sense to work together, they make that decision, not me. You know, and it's very non-threatening, and we have fresh baked cookies as they come in. And,
yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
No, I really advise that because if you haven't done that yet, it's time. Definitely. Good to
We
see
think
you,
so.
sir. Yeah. Good to see you. Say hi to everyone.
All right.
You
All
take
right.
care, and we'll be back. You know,